Here is a problem that sounds simple but turns out to be one of the harder things in AI right now. You point an agent at your whole code base or your company's entire knowledge base. That's millions of tokens, far more than fits in this context window. Then you ask one question and the answer lives in maybe three sentences, buried somewhere in all of that. So, how does the agent find those three sentences? If it dumps everything in, it slows down, it costs more, and it actually gets less accurate, which we covered last time. The real skill is the opposite, pulling in only the right context exactly when it's needed. That's retrieval, and it's changed a lot recently. Let's walk through it. Let's frame the problem because it's the whole game. Your context window is small. The information the agent might need is enormous and you can't preload all of it. First, because it doesn't fit. And second, because even if it did, buying the answer in a mountain of irrelevant text makes the model worse, not better. So instead, you let the model reach out and grab the exact piece it needs the moment it needs it and nothing else. That's all retrieval is, the right context on demand. You already know the basic version, that's RAG, but the gap between a toy RAG demo and the retrieval that holds up in production is large. And closing that gap is the rest of this video. It starts somewhere most people overlook. You already know the basic loop. Embed your docs, embed the query, grab the nearest chunks. We will skip that because what actually decides whether retrieval works happens earlier at indexing time, and most setups get it wrong. Start with chunking. The moment you split a document up, each chunk loses the context around it. A line like the fee is $50 gets stored as a naked blob with no record that it lived under Section 4 refunds. Retrieve it later and the model has no idea what it's looking at. Chunks too big and you drag in noise. Too small and you lose the meaning. This one decision sets a ceiling on how good your system can get. There's a useful upgrade here. Anthropic calls it contextual retrieval. Before you embed a chunk, a cheap model writes a short note on where it sits in the document and prepends it. So the fee is $50 becomes, in the refund policy, the fee is $50. Same chunk, but now it carries its context. In Anthropic own testing, that single change to the embeddings cut failed retrievals by about a third before you have even touched the search. Fix the index and everything downstream gets easier. With a solid index, the next question is the search itself. And there is a result here worth knowing. Semantic search is good at understanding what you mean. Ask, how do I reset my password? And it finds a doc titled account recovery steps with no matching words at all. That's powerful. But it has a blind spot, exact terms, error codes, product IDs, a function name. The meaning matching blurs those out, and on some 2026 benchmarks, plain keyword search actually beat vector search outright. So the better systems use both. That's hybrid search. Run keyword and semantic together and merge the rankings. One catches the exact terms, the other catches the meaning. Then there is one more layer, re-ranking. Hybrid pulls a wide set, say 50 candidates. A second smarter model rereads those 50 and resorts them. So the best three rise to the top. Cast a wide net quickly, then let a specialist pick the winners. Stack all of it, contextual embeddings, hybrid search, and a re-rankle. And in Anthropic's own testing, failed retrievals drop by about 2/3. Same documents, same model, it just finds the right context far more often. That's the modern retrieval stack. Now to the part that's genuinely changing right now. In classic RAG, retrieval happens once, before the model even starts thinking. Agentic retrieval asks a different question. What if the model drove the search itself? It's essentially the agent loop, pointed at search. Here is what changes. The agent takes your question and reformulates it into a better query. If it's complex, it breaks it into sub-questions and searches each one. Then the key part, it looks at what came back and judges it. Do I have enough? No, the answer references something I haven't looked up yet. So it searches again and keeps going until it has what it needs. Instead of one blind grab, you get a small research loop. Ask something that takes 3 hops to answer, and classic RAG tends to fall apart, while an agentic retriever chains the hops and gets there. This isn't free though. It costs roughly 3 to 10 times the tokens of classic RAG. So use it where the question is genuinely hard, not to look up a simple fact. It also doesn't have to happen upfront. The agent can retrieve mid-task the moment it hits something it doesn't know. Take a coding agent. It's editing a file, hits a function it doesn't recognize, and right there in the loop it runs a search, grabs just that definition and moves on. Retrieval becomes a tool the agent calls whenever it has a gap, just in time rather than just in case. And it's Not only documents, the same machinery works on memory, past conversations, decisions, notes about the user. When something's relevant, the agent searches its own memory and pulls back the one item that matters out of thousands. Find the needle, leave the haystack. At this point, you might be thinking, we have million token windows now. Can't I just put everything in and skip all this? Mostly no. Those large windows are slow and expensive. One analysis clocked a long context query at tens of seconds and pennies to dollars each versus retrieval at about a second for a small fraction of the cost. And even with a giant window, models still miss facts buried in the middle. It's a real effect, though how strong it is depends on the model. So the better teams don't choose one or the other. They use retrieval to narrow a million documents down to the handful few that matter, then let the large window reason over that focused set. Retrieval and long context working together. Step back because this changes how you build agents. We tend to focus on which model is smartest, but the more useful framing is this: an agent is only as good as what it can find and bring into focus at the right moment. The smartest model available looking at the wrong three paragraphs just gives you a confident wrong answer. So, retrieval is how the agent sees, it's the senses. Get it right, and an ordinary model starts to feel sharp because every time it answers, it's looking at exactly what it needs. That's the skill worth focusing on right now. Quick recap of how agents find the right context. It starts at indexing, contextual retrieval, so your chunks carry their meaning. Then hybrid search plus a re-ranker pulls and sorts the best results. Agentic retrieval lets the model run a real search loop going multi-step until it has the answer. It retrieves just in time, mid-task, and works on memory the same way. And large context windows don't replace any of this, they work alongside it. If this made things clearer, hit like and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel, and there is a whole series on building agents that actually work. See you in the next one.